Hello there and welcome. Today we are taking a full look at the Nerf Hyper Impulse-40. Let's jump right in. Included in the box is of course the Impulse-40 itself. We have the instructions, 30 hyper rounds, and eye protection. Now with the Impulse out of the box, let's go over the blaster. Now first off, the blaster features two rails, one located on the top and one on the bottom. And if you have one of these hyper reload canisters, they go on very well. The blaster features a jam door on both the right and the left. You can operate the blaster while the jam doors are open. The blaster's grip is incredibly comfortable and the trigger pull feels standard. On the left side of the blaster only, we have our safety. In the down position, you are safe, and in the up position, you are ready to fire. Also exclusive to the left-hand side is the priming indicator, which is located right there. On the right side only, we have a reprime switch. Now, if you prime the blaster, the handle is locked in the forward position, but if you encounter a jam, you can override that lock by pulling down the switch. Towards the very back of the blaster, we have this button, and just like the Evolve 100, this opens the hopper. This button system is actually much more crisp than the one that was featured on the Evolve 100. Its agitation system is also very similar to the Evolve 100. Now, the Evolve feeds better than pretty much all the other Hyper Blasters, so this is a good sign. Loading the hopper is incredibly easy, especially if you have a reload canister. Unfortunately, the blaster still lacks a hop-up tab, just like most of the other Hyper Blasters. Now, I'm not sure who's making this decision, but really, we need to see hop-ups on future Hyper Blasters. Firing is very simple. Assuming you have a loaded hopper, you simply pull the priming handle all the way back and push it forward. That actually fed just fine, and each shot seemed like it was hitting pretty hard. Now we're gonna get some numbers with the Impulse-40 outside. We will be using the included hyper rounds. 122. Wow. 94. That's a little low. 120. Nice. 118. 120. And 114. Now that performance was actually pretty good. Besides that one outlier that was under 100, the rest seemed to be hitting a little bit harder than the average for Hyper. Not by a substantial amount, but definitely pretty solid. Now let's take some shots downrange. Wow. Those shots were firing incredibly far. This blaster is not very accurate due to the lack of hop-up, but wow, is it powerful. So what is my final verdict on the Nerf Hyper Impulse-40? Overall, I actually really like the blaster. The grip is amazing, the button is nice and clicky, the priming handle is smooth, and the feeding is actually better than the usual for Hyper. Of course, this will come down to personal preference, but I actually like the Impulse more than the Rush 40. And the Rush 40 is a great blaster. Most people would probably say it's the best Hyper Blaster. The main reason I see this blaster as slightly superior is the hopper system. In my opinion, the Rush 40's hopper is pretty bad. It's really annoying to use, and it's very difficult to get a reload canister to properly unload into that thing. My biggest critique of the blaster is of course the lack of hop-up. Like, what are they doing with Hyper? Why don't more blasters feature a hop-up tab? I mean, it's not funny, it's annoying, but seriously, why? Who's making this decision? Could you make a custom one? Yes, but why would you need to? Like, it should have a hop-up out of the box. In my opinion, that's really what holds this blaster back from being really, really great. But hey, seriously, it is nice that we're getting more consistent feeding. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely better than the original wave of Hyper Blasters. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Impulse-40, and happy nerfing.